This is Matt with Annotem Geomobile Solutions, and today we're going to take an early look at Esri's new version of Collector. The project had been called Aurora, but at the end of November it's going to be released. The new app will be Collector. The version of Collector that we're accustomed to for the last few years will become Collector Classic. I believe this is the naming system that Esri is going to move forward with. So let's jump into our beta version here. Map interface looks very similar to Classic. However, to get to settings, it's now this profile picture in the upper left. So you can see some of this looks familiar. We can see there's our accuracy, that's familiar. GPS averaging is kind of in a different position, but the way it's set up is similar. Streaming, this is if you're collecting a line or a polygon. What's new is you can actually choose between having it record your vertices as you walk or drive a vehicle by time or distance. And then photo size, very similar to the Classic. The only difference is, and I wish they would add this, it doesn't show us the pixel size of the different options here. The default in Collector, Classic, and in this new version of Collector, they're both large, so if your pictures come out and they're too pixelated, I recommend bumping them to extra large or even actual size, and that's going to give you the maximum that your iOS device can capture. Provider, very similar to the old way. Add it and it'll attach to your Bluetooth receiver. For this demo, I'm using an EOS Aero Gold RTK system. And then profile. Profile is a similar way to set it up in this new version of Collector. However, the difference is, first, we've got default. We're accustomed to that. That's if we're using sub-meter receivers that are utilizing the WASP satellites for its corrections, just WS-84. RTK, the cool thing about this version is in Classic, the subtitle here for datum transformation at the bottom there, it was mislabeled as Pacific Ocean, even though it was correctly WS-84 ITFR08 to NAT83 2011, it was mislabeled. Now it's labeled correctly as CONUS in Alaska. So keep that in mind when you're setting up your correction profile if you move into Aurora and you use an RTK equipment. Now, units, this is a little something new. You can see measured units here. We've got US standard or metric. And then for coordinates, we have different options for viewing our coordinates. I like decimal degrees, I'm going to leave it there. But there's the addition of UTM and different versions of degrees, minutes, seconds. The other thing to keep in mind, the precision is the number of decimal places that goes out if you're using a coordinate system that utilizes that. The default was 6 decimal places. I would definitely change it to 8. The receiver, you want to be able to get your maximum number of decimal places out of it so you can get your maximum accuracy. So definitely update that to 8. I don't recommend leaving it on the default. And then distance, you can choose here, meters or kilometers, area, meters, hectares, square kilometers, but you can also do that when you're doing measurements. So I'm going to go into my map here. This has been changed quite a bit. I think the UI is both cleaner and the interface is a little bit better once we get into our map. The first thing that we can do is the accuracy that used to be in the lower left box of the map in Collector Classic has been moved to this top line. It says GPS location not available. So if we go ahead and tap on that little arrow position icon, change it to blue, now you can see it's activated and it's pulling in the location from my external GPS. And then something that we're accustomed to is being able to pop open the accuracy box and see some more information. So again, I'm just going to tap on that little blue line there, and now we can see there's information that we were accustomed to seeing in Classic. So very cool stuff, very similar. Then another thing that's different is things have been collapsed down into these 3 dots in the upper right. So you can see if I have multiple layers there, I can see both the legend and I can turn off certain layers if I've got too many on and I don't need that many. Then bookmarks I don't have any set. Base maps, very similar. You can come in here and choose aerial imagery. and then X that out. And then there's our measure tool. It's been moved. So again, we still have our distance and our polygon area measurement feature. And again, we can click on our units there. So this has always been one of my favorite features in Collector, especially if I'm using RTK equipment and I want to get some pretty accurate measurement distances. So I'm going to click Done just to pop out of there. The best part of this new UI compared to Classic is adding a point. I know a lot of us were frustrated with the little slider from the right. You had to tap it just perfect. Now it's just this nice blue circle with a white plus sign. So we can tap on that guy and see our information here. Here's my layers I can choose from. A feature that is new to this version of Collector, but similar to what we've seen in some other GPS mapping applications, is the ability to do an offset. So if I need to record a point on the other side of a fence that I don't have permission to get to, I can actually tell it I want a point over there, and I can name it okay, but now I want to record a point where I'm at because I'm using high accuracy GPS receiver. So I'm going to hit the little plus button and positioning on myself now, and I'm going to call this test 45, done, submit. Now there's some differences in here where you can see we have our object ID. Now this is just auto incrementing up. I've done 8 of them at this point, and then I've given it its own ID name. That's a very cool feature. I like that quite a bit. And we can see, similar to what we've done in the past, our horizontal and vertical estimated accuracy, latitude, longitude, altitude. That's ellipsoid height right there. And at the bottom, this is interesting. We see our global ID, but we can also do edits in here. So I can just tell it I named it wrong. It was supposed to be 46. So I can update that. If I had notes that would need to be different, I could update that. The other things when we get down here is copy. We can quickly copy, we can quickly delete. Another feature that is cool because it looks like they took what was neat about their Esri Trek to There app and brought it into this new version. The problem with Trek to There was you had to manually enter the latitude and longitude of a point of interest that you wanted it to kind of give you a compass bearing and distance directions to, but now this is all taking place inside this new version of Collector. So that's very cool. So if I actually tap that little compass button, you can see that it's given me distance and kind of showing me where I need to go. So if I was in a field and I was trying to find a known point, I could tap on it, choose it, scroll down, click compass, and it'll help walk me to the position. When I want to stop, I just tap the little blue arrow again, it'll go away and get rid of that feature for me. So much different UI here. I think it's a lot better. A little bit of getting used to for folks, I'm sure, but that's definitely some stuff to look forward to, especially as Esri continues to develop to this new version of Collector over the next year or two. We could see a lot of neat innovations with this new version. So thanks for your time. We also have a lot of other videos on our website that you might find helpful.